Grab a seat. We'll check more later. Yes, yes. Hi.
Miller. Life so tough. I step forward. It's great. Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh.
You get them all?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was kind of laughing. One of my clients this morning was like, "Yes, do you have time to come home?" I go to holiday masses.
All right, hello to all of our confirmation families. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute here so that we can be mindful of your time and mindful of all of those who are joining us on live stream tonight and get you home to your families as quickly as possible. So first of all, I would just like to welcome all of you, Confirmation 1 and Confirmation 2 families, to the new year. We're super excited to journey with all of you and super excited to be able to offer a dynamic program for your young people this year. I want to thank you for taking time to be here tonight. As you can imagine, this year has been a little bit chaotic in our office as we've faced new guidelines and regulations with COVID and as we've prepared and dreamed for what we have in mind for your teens this coming year. And so it helps us to be able to capture you all in one audience and to give you all the information you need for the upcoming year to best support your teen. So thank you for taking time to do that for your young people today. Before we get started, I want to introduce a couple of people who will be important in the process of your teens preparing for confirmation. So if you do not know me, I am Danielle, and I am one of the directors of Faith Formation here at St. Bonaventure. And I probably emailed you lots of times, and if you ever need anything, I'm kind of the go-to person for confirmation. Also, I'd like to introduce Debbie Springer. She's another director of Faith Formation here, and she'll be here to support your young people on the journey as well. And finally, I'd like to introduce Robbie Payton, who's also monumental in helping our young people to encounter Christ here at the parish. We are so blessed to have our live stream crew here live streaming this meeting, so those that aren't comfortable attending here in person can be watching at home. And we just want to thank them for the time that they've given to be here away from their families too. They helped us all summer with all of our sacraments. If any of you had kids in First Communion or Confirmation, they were here for like weeks straight, live streaming masses for us so that all of our children's families could see their kids receive the sacraments even from afar. So thank you, live stream crew, for being here tonight to make sure that we get all this information to all of our families. So, as you can imagine, and as you have all been a part of, this past couple of months have been a wild ride. Maybe we were all full steam ahead, and then COVID put some wrenches into our plans. I know it was like that for us. We have all these dreams of things that we want to happen in ministry, and so many of them happen when the kids are here in person. And suddenly in March, that all changed. And so we're adjusting to this new normal, but we're confident and excited that faith can be one place that the teens can continue to turn to, even when everything else in the world is being changed around them. And so we're excited to be able to nurture the kids here on campus and to be able to serve them and be able to lead them closer to Christ. So every year in our office in summer, we try to come up with a theme for what we want our ministry to do and how we want our ministry to serve the families here at the parish for the coming year. And for some reason, in particular this year, we had this image of a nest in mind. We had this image of a nest. So I want you to just think for a second, imagine the ideal nest. If you were a bird, what would the nest that you want to live in be like? So just think about that for a second. And if you just want to turn to the person sitting next to you and give them a couple of words to describe your perfect nest. All right, go.
did.
Yes, cozy and nest
Colorful. Yeah, warm.
area, clean.
Clean.
Cozy.
All right, who can give me a word to describe their perfect nest? What were some of the words you guys said to describe your perfect nest? Yes. Fluffy. Ooh, I love it.
Cozy.
Cozy. Okay, so we're a fluffy, cozy group. Yes.
Clean.
Clean. Okay, clean. These are different answers than the high schoolers gave us when we were meeting with them yesterday, but anyone else? Big, welcoming, full of eggs. Okay, so there's eggs in there, right? Protective, well-built or sturdy, perhaps consistent, right? These are all words that might describe a perfect nest. So I want to take you back to a few months ago. It was a Friday in March, Friday the 13th, mind you. And in our office, we were busy hustling and bustling, getting ready to take a group of 54 high schoolers on their confirmation retreat. And their bags were packed, and our leaders were driving to the mountain. And we were fully ready to experience an entire retreat weekend with those kids that weekend. And that day, as the day progressed, we continued to get word that something major was happening in our world, something that we could not control. And we heard these words. We were going to be sheltering at home. Mind you, we had to cancel the retreat for all of our 54 teens. And life after that day didn't really look the same for a long time. We had never heard of this idea of sheltering at home. You know, like I think even when I first heard the word shelter at home, I didn't understand what it meant. I had a group of 8th grade students that Friday afternoon that I went and said goodbye to. And I remember in particular, this one girl came up to me and she hugged me and she was like, I just want to tell you thank you so much for this year, for all you did for me. I hope you have a good summer or something like this. And I was like, dude, it's March. Like, I'll see you in 3 weeks when this like shelter at home thing is over. Like, are you crazy, right? But like looking back, I'm like, she knew something I didn't, because we all sheltered at home for a very long time. And there was sadness in having to shelter at home, but there were also a lot of joys that hopefully you got to experience with your families. I know for my family, it was the first time my mom had all 4 of her children tucked into one little nest for a few months, because we were all working at home, we were all eating at home, we were all doing all of our socializing at home because there was nowhere to go, right? And so she had us all tucked in, and we were safe there, and we were fed there, and we had some really good family time there. But if you were like my family, that good family time sheltering just in that one little home might have run out at some point, or things might have gotten a little stuffy in your home at some point along the way, right? And slowly but surely, we figured out a way to navigate back into the world. It looks different. You guys are all wearing masks here. We're all 6 feet apart and we're outside, right? But we're here and we're together and we get to experience one another just in different ways. So as we prepared for our year, we realized that there were so many things that were good about our time at home that we didn't want to end, but maybe that we wanted to replicate here when your young people are with us as well. So our theme for the next coming year is officially going to be shelter at home. And we hope that not only are your young people going to shelter in the nest that you create in your homes, a place of safety and warmth for them to grow in their faith, but we also aim to offer all of your young people a safe, nurturing, comfy, clean place for them to be fed and to be nourished by God, and to be seen for who they are, and to be loved for who they are, and to continue to grow into who God has called them to be. So, to start us off tonight, I want to open up in prayer. I found a scripture that reminds me of the safety of this nest of faith that we're all given. When everything else in the world is so unknown, it really puts into perspective the value of faith and leaning on the one thing that we do know, which is God's abundant love, even in the craziest of times. So the scripture comes to us from Psalms, and it says, "How precious is your loving kindness, O God, and the children of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings." How precious is your loving kindness, O God, and the children of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for the gift of shelter that you give to all of us. We thank you so much for the nests and the homes that all of our young people come from. We thank you for the love that they experience there and for the ways that that nest has helped them to grow in faith. We just pray that this year, as a community here at St. Bonaventure, that we can continue to nurture our young people, to continue to feed them with your love, and to continue to be a safe place for them to come. We pray all of this in your holy name. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right, so Robbie is going to get into, with you all, a little bit of our goals here, specifically for the confirmation nest.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's awesome to see all of you guys in person. I'm so excited to get to travel this year with your kiddos and just get to know them a little bit better. So I want to start off by reading this tidbit from the Catechism of the Catholic Church. It says, "Our mission, confirmation preparation, should aim at leading the Christian towards a more intimate union with Christ and a more lively and familiarity with the Holy Spirit, His actions, His gifts, and His biddings, in order to be more capable of assuming the apostolic responsibility of the Christian life." So that's like the idea of what our confirmation nest is. Our goal is to be able to bring your kids into an environment where they feel safe and they feel sheltered, where they feel able to be vulnerable, where they feel like they can be themselves, where they feel like they can grow in faith. And then as they grow in that, we encourage them to go back and give that to the people that are coming next into the nest, to the next generation of kids. And when we get to see confirmation leaders come back year and year and year and year, we get to see them step up and lead in a new role. When we get to see them, when they're just helping people like at church or like helping people do stuff, like doing extraordinary things, when we see them show up to mass by themselves, like that's like the coolest thing about our job, right? Like we get to see your kiddos grow into people who are extraordinary members of our church, extraordinary members of faith. This year alone, we have 20 kids coming back to lead confirmation, right? 20 kids this year. And then we have 20 from last year also. So we have 40 newly confirmed leaders this year. And that's something that's so cool. That's 1 in 5 out of our teens is coming back to be a confirmation leader. And I would like to say it's because they want to come hang out with me. And they think I'm super cool, or they think that Danielle's super cool, or they think Miss Debbie is like so rad. But the reason is because they feel home here, right? They want to be part of this community. And that's what we're striving to do. We're striving to build a place where your kids feel safe, right? Where they feel like they can keep challenging themselves to grow deeper in their faith, to take the next step, right? We have a giant group of volunteers that pour themselves in effort after effort after effort to try to provide that nest for your kiddos. So I just want you guys to know that our sole goal is for you guys to be able to be like, all right, you guys are going to confirmation, like go be out of our hair for a few minutes and know that they're gonna love being here and they're gonna feel safe being here. And we wanna dive into that faith with them and to help them grow in that faith. I know when I was going through confirmation, I really didn't wanna be here, to tell you the truth. Like I was like, I don't wanna do it, Mom. Danielle, I don't wanna do it. They like made me go. And my confirmation leader, his name's Brian. I don't know if any of you guys know Brian Lutz. He's an awesome guy and he still serves in our parish. But I just remember he really reached out to me and like made me know that I belong there. Made me know that I belong in this church and that, even when I do things that are stupid or even when I do things that are like, so annoying and like over the top and I'm like running around and like I'm supposed to be like reverent but I'm not, He was like, that's cool, like you belong here, like this is your home. And I think that's the goal that each one of us have, is that we want this place, we want Bonaventure to be home, right? We want a shelter here. When the world's crazy, when everything's going on in the world, we want your kids to be like, hey, I know where it's safe. I can go back to church. I can go back to Bonaventure. I know that that's where my home and my family and my nest is. Speaking of being safe, I'm going to invite Debbie up to talk about the precautions during this COVID season that we're going to take to make sure your kiddos stay physically safe. Thank you.
Yes, your kids are in great hands. It's fun for me, just because I'm just a little bit older than our young adults here that do such a phenomenal job loving your kids, loving my kids, because even my adult children went through the program here, and their favorite experience was the one that Danielle and Robbie and at that time the really young, newly confirmed teens, so to speak, were running the retreat, and they had a phenomenal experience bonding with this young team. And it goes a long way. We tell that to all of our leaders. We can stand up here and say, as you know, plenty about faith and about our life experiences, but when they hear from someone that's close to their age and can relate still to what's going on with them in high school, it's so much more of an impact. And we always say to any new leaders that, sure, we're going to teach about faith. We're all growing and learning about our faith. Even priests and the Pope are constantly expanding their faith life, because no one can ever know enough, because it's not just knowledge in books. And even that we could never know. There's too many writings that have been written down across history, right? But it's the experience we have with God inside of ourselves that we get to share with one another. And even more importantly than that, it's sharing that love. And I know that your teens will feel the love, especially from the group that we have leading. And I just think that's amazing to watch, just because they love your kids. They're invested not only in their life here at church, but they'll show up to their football games, their dance recitals. They'll encourage them when they're going through tests that they're stressed about. They're very connected, and that's really where our program goes above and beyond, I think, is just that tremendous love. All right, enough about that. I'm supposed to talk about the safety of your kids, which is practical and kind of ordinary, but it's something really important for you all to know before we tell you to drop them off. Not everyone is coming back in person. In fact, a lot of places aren't, and we just feel like because we have the space to do it, and be outside, and the weather is permitting right now, that we're trusting God that it's going to continue to evolve. And if we need to put sides to all along these tents and get heating lamps, or it changes, the rules change, we have plenty of building space that we can hopefully move into when need be. So thank you for trusting us, and we just feel passionate about getting the teens here in person. But those of you that are choosing to stay home, we understand there's many reasons why that's a better choice for some of you. So we're just here to be available in all ways. When your children do come here physically for confirmation, Mass will be happening here, so there's a lot of space coordination. So this is the Mass space at 1:30. We have a Spanish Mass that goes until about 2:30, 2:45. So those of you coming for confirmation 1 at 2:45 to 3 o'clock, dropping your kids, everybody's going to be gathering on the grass area and checking in over there. So before you drop them off, we ask for you to look at the pre-screening Google Doc that Danielle has. That's right. We were going to do a Google fancy thing, but we realized that you all kind of know the precautions, and we have them on a hard copy, old-fashioned, in your folders. And so if you hang on the fridge or just get familiar with the few things we want you to be checking, it's a pretty standard thing when you're checking into school and other things as well. So please do the pre-screening, and absolutely, we trust you that you won't send your child if they're even remotely questionably sick, right? But once they arrive here, we want to double check and take measures so that all families feel comfortable that we're doing this. And so we will have those temperature things that you see now on the forehead. We'll have teens check in before they even go near the other kids or leaders. So they'll check in with us at a table, and that's when they'll pick up their name tag, which then we'll know they're in attendance. So there'll be that formality of the check-in table. We'll expect them, and we'll talk to them about all these things when they come for their first class, but we'll expect them to honor and respect the 6-foot boundary as much as they can. And we'll make sure that all activities and seating arrangements are to that standard. And we'll expect them to help in that process too. We understand outside of here that many may be choosing to do otherwise, but when we do come together in a community that needs to guarantee safety in a different way, we just ask for all that cooperation, right, as we're trying to meet that need as well. So So then we'll have chairs spaced out, much like we do here, and they'll have at Mass as well, the same setup. So kids will be spaced out in their chairs and be asked to remain in the same chair the entire time. When there are supplies handed out, they will come out of a bag onto the ground, and kids will grab their own, and they won't share supplies. So they'll keep the same pen or marker, and they will reach and grab one fish or sheet of paper or whatever the supply might be for that particular class. So as well, when there's a snack or something provided, they will be individually wrapped. We used to provide dinners, and that was so lovely in a time of pre-COVID. Kids love to eat, we know that, so they come to eat, but they like snacks too. So we're finding out if we have the right snacks they'll enjoy. So we may spoil them a little bit before dinner or earlier in the afternoon, but they'll get snacks this time, so you no longer have to provide that. We used to have a letter of the alphabet provide burritos or pizzas or whatever we were requesting. So that's just a little more simple, you know. I guess that's what's happening in this time too, is we're all just simplifying, but it's not such a bad thing. Sometimes being simple is nice too, and so we'll focus on other things, but they will have prepackaged snacks because it is a long time. We don't want them to starve to death. And those coming before Mass will then stay for Mass, many of them, and so we get it. They're going to be here for a chunk of time. And those coming for 5 o'clock Mass and staying afterwards, we want to make sure they have something to hold them over. So that will be provided for your kids instead this year. And so, as we said, in general, we'll be using this outside space, and so until we hear otherwise that we have a safe way to be moving indoors or a way to keep this area warm as the weather changes, we certainly will take all those measures to have a comfortable space that's safe. So now that you know your children are safe and they're going to be fed when they come, Danielle's going to talk about how we're going to feed them spiritually and go over the entire program so that you understand what they'll be going through. So here's Danielle.
All right, so I'm going to go over all of the business for our meeting tonight. So you'll just need your child's teal folder if you're here. If you're watching on live stream, just make sure that you come grab this folder on Thursday. We'll have them available in our office for you to grab. So I'm just going to go through it from top to bottom, explain every piece of paper that's in here so you know exactly what your teen needs to be doing to prepare for confirmation in the coming year. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is this yellow piece of paper. So this is your teen's attendance card for the 2020-2021 school year. We are asking that each young person attend 8 formation activities throughout the year. The best for them to come to would be the 8 classes that we have on Sundays during their confirmation class time. However, we know that our high schoolers are busy and that there are other things that may conflict with them coming to those classes. So we do have a couple of opportunities and makeup events for them to attend if they can't attend any class. So if your child, let's say this coming Sunday, September 20th, is a special day for your family and you already have something planned, if your child couldn't attend, our first recommendation to you would be to ask if they can't come at their time. So if it's a confirmation 1 teen and they cannot come at 3 o'clock, we'd first ask, is there any way they can come at 6 instead? Because what happens is our confirmation 1 and confirmation 2 classes are exactly identical. But your teen will have a small group with their year. So it's best if they can come at their time, but if they can't, the second best choice is for them to come at the opposite time. So if they were to do that, we would just have you tell them to come check in with either Debbie, myself, or Robbie and say, I'm here, I'm from confirmation 1, but I need to make up and come to class tonight at 6 o'clock instead. And we'd find a small group to plug them into, and they'd experience the exact same class that their peers just went to. If they cannot do that, if they cannot attend on that day, maybe you're out of town or they're very sick or whatever the circumstance might be, our second best recommendation is for them to attend one of the events that we provide for all of our high schoolers throughout the year. So if you're a confirmation 2 family, this schedule looks a little different than what you saw last year. There's a couple reasons why. COVID is one of them, but also we just felt strongly on our hearts that we wanted to pour into other aspects of the ministry, and so we won't be having the event nights like we did last year. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, just disregard it, but if you do, then just know that the events aren't happening the same way this year. But we will still be having events for your high schoolers. So, 4 Saturday mornings throughout the year, we have an event called the Banquet and Breakfast. It's Saturday morning mass. The kids show up for mass at 8 o'clock. It's early. I always think, why did I put this on the calendar when I have to wake up for those mornings? But it's good once I'm here. So they come to mass, and then we have donuts, a question of the day about faith, and we play a game together. So if they can't make it to class and they need to come to a makeup, any of those banquet and breakfast mornings would count as a makeup. We also offer retreat reunions, so all of your high schoolers will go on a retreat as part of their classes this year. And so if they attend their retreat reunion, that would count as a makeup for them as well. So there's 4 banquet and breakfast options, 1 retreat reunion. And then there's 2 other events that are new this year called Altar. And those are going to take place on Saturday nights. We realized that adoration and confession were happening here every Saturday night, and we wanted to be able to plug our teens into that experience if that was something they were wanting. So they would just come on a Saturday night at 7:30, they'd meet us, they'd have the opportunity to go to confession, spend some time in adoration, and probably have an ice cream treat or something like this. So those dates don't come until January and April, but we'll send out reminders as all these things are coming up. And if your teen needs to plug into any of them or just wants to plug into any of them, they're always welcome. And those events are for any high schooler. So even if it's a teen not plugged into confirmation, those extra events they can be a part of. So on this attendance card, your teen's just going to circle what they come to. It's really easy if they come to every class. They just circle every class. They did their 8, you initial it, and they've prepared as far as class formation goes for the year. If they have to do a makeup, you're just going to cross out, like if they can't come on October 18th, you can just cross it out, or they can just cross it out. That would be even better. They can just cross it out, and then at the bottom they can write what they went to. So they went to banquet and breakfast instead, or they went to an altar event, or whatever they went to their retreat reunion, they can just write it there. So by the end of the year, on April 18th, the last confirmation class, this card should be completely circled with 8 events that they went to, so we know that they did that, met that requirement. On the back of this card is all the other requirements for confirmation prep for the year. So confirmation prep is mainly the classes, but there's other things that we want our high schoolers to be a part of as they're preparing and plugging into the parish. So first and foremost is attending a Sunday Mass. So I know for some of us, especially with COVID, it was very easy to slip into the habit of maybe watching only on live stream or skipping a Sunday here or there. So we're really asking that you as a family try to prioritize Mass for your young person. It's really beautiful to watch. It's just something that happens when a high schooler is coming to Mass every week, that automatically they're going to be more connected with the community here, right? Because they're seeing people that are going to be leading them in confirmation, and they're getting to connect with them outside of confirmation class. And it's just really valuable for a young person to see that God can be consistently in their week, even if we don't have confirmation class. So if you don't already have a Mass that your family loves, we're going to put a subtle recommendation that we are all a little partial to the 5 o'clock Sunday night Mass. In general, it's a little bit of a younger person vibe, and the music is pretty good. So if you haven't checked it out, we'd love to see your family there. And if your high schooler wants to come alone, we're always there, and they're always welcome to sit with us any Sunday at 5 o'clock. Then after that, the retreats. If we could just do retreats with your high schoolers all the time, we would just do retreats all the time, because we see them change kids' lives like over and over again. It's pretty awesome. So all of the kids go on a retreat with us. Confirmation 1, all teens will go on the same Confirmation 1 retreat. It's the weekend of Super Bowl Sunday. So I did that on purpose so I can go to Mass on Saturday night with the retreat kids and be free to relax and enjoy Super Bowl Sunday. So they will also be free to enjoy the Super Bowl Sunday. So that's February 5th and 6th. And that's a Friday night, Saturday all day here on campus. As far as the Con 2 retreats go, there's 2 options. You can either sign up for fall or spring. Fall is the weekend before Thanksgiving, November 20th to 22nd, and spring is in March 12th through 14th. Like I said, that day on March 13th, we were leaving on retreat, and we had to cancel our retreat weekend. And we were very sad for a long time that those teens didn't get to experience a retreat. And we're super excited. We haven't even fully wrapped our heads around what's going to be happening, but next weekend, we're taking those kids on a retreat experience, and it's going to be something that we've never done before because they won't be spending the night. But we're really excited for what we have planned for them. They're starting Friday night with a bonfire on the beach, and then they're coming here all day Saturday and Sunday. There's like great food coming, there's music all weekend, so we're super excited to be able to offer that to them, and they'll be kind of the guinea pigs to see how that goes, and if there's anything else we want to jazz up before we offer potentially that same retreat in November, if the guidelines are as they are now, or if we're able to bring our kids to the mountains in November. So that's gonna kind of be a standby thing. We can't really tell you either way what that's gonna look like. But our desire is to offer, if your teen sign up for the November retreat, to offer them something that weekend. If your teen is really wanting to do a mountain weekend, I mean, March is probably more likely, but still we can't guarantee that even in March anything will look different. So either way, whenever you commit to that weekend, we'll put on something monumental and life-changing for your young person. We just can't tell you logistically where it's gonna be for sure. New this year is something that our leaders have kind of really been passionate about and excited about, and something that we've kind of felt like was a point that we were a little bit needing to bump up. So all of the high schoolers are gonna be joining a service crew. So this would kind of take the place of some of those events that they were going to. So last year we had all of our kids do 16 hours of service, and for some of them they went gung-ho and they did really crazy and beautiful things as far as service goes. And then of course there's always those kids that's like, their paper is like, I took out the trash for 16 hours. And you're kind of just like, that's awesome, that's great, but like I don't think that was like the point necessarily, right? So we want to be able to offer our kids, and we have some leaders who have very strong passions in different array of service opportunities. So all of your high schoolers are going to be signing up to be a part of a service crew. This also is a great thing because they will get a small group for confirmation class, and they might be disappointed when they find out that their best friends are not in their confirmation group. And that's always a sad thing, but I always think that God knows what he's doing when he puts them in those groups. And so the great news is that they can all sign up, the whole best friend group. Any kid that wants to be a part of a service crew can all sign up together and be a part of one service crew and do service together the whole year. So this is exciting. So they don't have to be sad, because 8 times they might be away from their best friend, but the service times they'll get to be with their friends. So they are going to, on the back of this purple sheet, is a QR code that you can scan to see a Sign Up Genius, where the teens can sign up for a service crew. What's going to happen is they're going to give us an email and their name and what service crew they want to be a part of. Some of your teens are already plugged into service crews. If they're a Lyft leader, their service for the year is done. They're serving at Lyft, and that's their service for the year. Debbie and I and Robbie will be checking in with them to tell them what's happening, and they can check it off their list. If not, they need to pick one of these things to sign up to be a part of. When they sign up, they can see the leader. These leaders might change slightly, but these are, for the most part, the leaders that are going to be in charge. So if they're really connected to one leader, they might want to do service with that leader too. But they're going to sign up for one of these things, and then that leader's just going to email them or get in touch with them approximately once a month to say, hey, this is a service we're doing. Can you help? Can you come lecture at this mass? Or can you come after the 5 o'clock mass on this Sunday to help clean up chairs, right? So all the service is something that's going to get them plugged in with not only a service job, but a community that's of like-minded people who want to do the same kind of service, okay? So we'll be going over that with the high schoolers on Sunday and having them sign up, but you can show this to them and maybe talk to them about what might be good in their schedule, so that way they have an idea of what they want to sign up for on Sunday. So then as far as keeping track of service hours, you don't have to do that for confirmation. They all need to pick a sponsor and a saint. So if I don't have a sponsor form for them, it's blank and it's in the folder and it looks like this. They're picking someone who they want to help them walk on their journey of faith. The main guidelines are that they need to be someone who is living out the Catholic faith, and it can't be a parent. So it has to be someone that's confirmed and living out the Catholic faith, and it can't be a parent. So the guidelines are here. Kind of what the sponsor has to do is here below. And if all goes as planned, we'll invite sponsors to our November class, where they'll come and participate in the class with your high schoolers for both years in November. Okay, so sponsor forms, those are due by the end of Confirmation 1. If you're a Confirmation 2 family and you have one of those in your folder, if you can get it to us as soon as possible, that would be really helpful. And then we encourage them all to go to penance service once throughout the year. There will be opportunities, and those are on the purple calendar. We have a parish penance service in December as well as in March, and then those 2 altar nights are also confession times. If your student goes to like Mater Dei or Servite and they're doing penance services as part of their schooling, that can count. If they want to go on their retreat experience, that can count as well. If they want to go on a Saturday morning by themselves, that can count too. So you're just going to make sure that they go to 1 penance service at least each year. And then finally, at the end of the year, we ask you to check in with your team to make sure that they feel like they've met all the requirements. If they have any questions for you, we're going to put you on the spot. You're going to answer all their questions about faith, and then you're going to sign off that they're ready and prepared to either go into confirmation 2 or to receive the sacrament of confirmation. Okay, so this is just the card that you'll keep, and you'll turn this in on April 18th, the last confirmation class. This purple calendar has everything that I just said listed and detailed, where it's supposed to be. Mind you, it says church and hall and church. Just ignore that, but it's basically we're going to be here. And I send out emails before all the classes to remind you of things that are coming up. So if you have any questions, it should be addressed in those emails. As far as the other 2 flyers that you might see in here, this just gives the teens the events. So these are like the makeup opportunities on the orange flyer. And then something that you might be surprised, but some of your young people have inspired to start happening. They took it upon themselves this summer. I guess they were bored, looking for something fun to do, and St. Bonaventure already felt like home to them. So they were biking and walking and scootering to our office pretty regularly to check in and say hello. And so we thought, why not have an organized time for our high schoolers to come hang out in the office and be a part of a community there. So we are starting something this year. It's called Coffee Shop. It's just the first Monday of every month from 3 to 5. The kids can come. We'll have coffee, probably some snacks. They can come hang out. If they want to play games, we can play games. If they want to talk, we can talk. If they want to do homework, we can do homework. Well, I mean, no one wants to do homework, but they can just come hang out. It's a safe place for them to come be, and we're going to like actually calendarize it because they clearly want to be here on campus. So why not make it organized? All right. The only other thing that you might be asking about are the little envelopes that are in your folders, as well as Confirmation 2 families have these 2 forms. So in the folders, the envelope with your child's name on it is just for the retreat fees. If you've already paid the fees, you are welcome to just turn your empty envelope in, and that will be our indication that you think you've already paid, and we'll just double check that, and then we'll be good. If you haven't paid and you're able to pay tonight, if you can just put your check into that envelope and turn it into the tables over here in the correct box. So Confirmation 1, you're just putting it in the Confirmation 1 box and you're done. Confirmation 2, you're deciding which retreat you want your teen to be a part of, either November or March, and you can circle it on the envelope. And then if you can turn in this permission slip here, we need this for all of our high schoolers that are going on retreat. In addition, all of our Confirmation 2 families, we normally would bring you out for a second night to have a meeting about retreat. We're not going to do that this year. And Confirmation 1, this is kind of just a preview for you so you can start thinking. But there's no high schoolers here, are there? If there's any high schoolers here, can you just like close your ears or like, I don't know. I don't want to blow any surprises for these high schoolers. But as part of the Confirmation retreat experience, we always give our teens a collection of love letters from their family and friends and people who support them on their journey. And so we just want to give all of our Confirmation 2 families especially a heads up that we'll be collecting those letters from you all the week before your teen, or the last Sunday class before your teen goes on their retreat weekend. So if you're going on the November retreat, we need those letters by Sunday, November 8th. And if you're going on the March retreat by February 21st, you can just collect them all and put them in an envelope with your child's name and bring them to the Faith Formation office, which is our 2-story building over here. There's a mail slot on the door, or if we're in, you can just walk in and hand those to us. So directions for what those letters can include will be here. And then once I have the official rosters for each retreat, I'll send out reminders as it gets closer, but just to give you a heads up that that's happening. Okay. Is that everything? They're like, I don't know. I think that might be everything. Does anyone have any questions about anything that's in the folder? Because if you have a question, it could be that I missed it. Yes?
Where can I get the permission slips?
Oh, so permission slips are only for Confirmation 2. So if you don't have one, it's probably because you're Confirmation 1. I think that's it. Yeah, does anyone have any other questions? Yes.
Baton 1,
Correct. So it's a Friday night. The times are on the calendar, but I think it's 6 to 9 Friday night. And then all day Saturday, like 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. or something like this. Yeah, so that one they don't go overnight. And then the hope is that for the Kwantu one, like they do go overnight. All right, any other questions? If you have any questions, feel free to always email or call the office. If for some reason you're not receiving emails from me, if you can just stop by at the table before you leave here tonight to just jot down your email. I might have the wrong email written down, so I just want to make sure I have it for your family. Okay? All right, Debbie's just going to close our time together with a quick prayer, and then you'll be free to go.
Okay, for our closing prayer, I wanted to invite you to set everything down and for everyone to make sure they have an egg in their hand. So if anybody missed getting an egg, yes, an egg, there's some up here in a basket. If you can quickly come grab one, and Robbie's going to maybe bring them towards you. And you'll need some a writing utensil as well. So if you want to get those two things in your hands, then you'll be relaxed and ready to enter into a prayerful space. And for those of you at home watching on live stream, you're just going to pretend to have an egg in your hand, but you can also have a little piece of paper handy and something to write with, and you can participate as well in this prayer experience alongside of us here. Okay, so again, just be holding your egg in your hand, and is always helpful to me, but I invite you to close your eyes and just to listen to the words of our closing prayer experience and just really enter into this space we have right now. And those of you at home to imagine that egg in your hand. And for all of us to imagine that this tiny little egg is our child. It's our baby. And I'm going to be guiding you through a meditation. And so just hold tightly to that little egg, picturing the child that you're here for confirmation. And we're going to be going back in time. And I want you to remember your child that is preparing for confirmation. Remember them when they were just a tiny little baby. Remember walking into their nursery. Remember looking around the room, noticing all the decorations that you hung, all the cute little things that you put in their room to define them. Remember the small little clothing and all the blankets. Imagine picking up one of those blankets and breathing in that new baby scent. It's a perfume we'll remember forever. And then all of a sudden, you hear the beautiful sound of your baby sleeping. So you walk over to the crib, and you put your hand on your child's back and begin to rub it. As you're caressing their back, you're struck by how much they are dependent on you. You alone answer every cry, change every diaper, hold them tight, tuck them in, protect and love them. It's a very peaceful feeling, the love of a parent for their little baby. You feel so blessed to know you will get to raise this little baby, and you begin to wonder what they will be like when they grow up, when they ride a bike, receive their confirmation, get married, maybe have their own children, and you smile at all the excitement ahead. So pick up your baby now from the crib, and so softly you hold them nice and tightly to your chest. Whisper the dreams and hopes you have for them. Tell them how loved they are. And your child begins to fall back to sleep in your arms, and you lay them back into their crib, their little nest oh so carefully. And then you tiptoe out of the room and back into the hallway. As you are standing there, many years begin to pass in your head, and you ever so slowly enter the door of your sweet baby now as a teenager. You look around their room and notice all the decorations, the posters, the pictures, all the things your sweet baby has grown into loving. Notice all the different things about your teenager that are now in their room, their interests, their hobbies, their school books, their phone, their radio. All of a sudden, you hear the soft sound of your child sleeping, and you walk over to their bed and watch them sleep. You put your hand on their back and begin to carefully rub it. You feel a little less connected to the child in front of you. You no longer can protect their world. They're choosing their own friends, making their own decisions. You no longer feel like the center of their world. As you were thinking, you feel someone beside you and slowly turn and see the softest, kindest man you have ever known. It's Jesus. He begins to ask you about your child. How are the two of you getting along? What are you struggling with? He asks you to describe your child and what you love about them, and even what is frustrating you. And you begin to tell Jesus how scary it is to be the parent of a teenager, all the things that you worry about. They now have their own hopes and dreams. They're busy and distracted, and you barely have a chance to really have conversation anymore. Jesus reminds you that your little baby is beginning to be their own little person, the person that he has called them to be. He knows the sadness of not having them talk to him as much, but he reminds you to be patient as he is, as they grow in age and wisdom. He also sees the mistakes they may make, and he rejoices in their smallest of triumphs. All these will be a part of their future steps. He puts his hand on your shoulder and reminds you that when you are frustrated as a parent, you can come to him. He knows that the child he gave you, he knew them before you even felt them in your womb. This is the child he wants you to raise, and he tells you how he will continue to help you in that. He reminds you that he is their father and that he has set out a path for them. He tells you to hold your teenager in your lap. You put their head against your chest and feel so connected to them. You remember all the reasons you love them. As you're holding your child, Jesus prays over both of you. Listen to his words. He offers you encouragement. He knows it will be difficult. He knows how hard it was for him to watch his mother Mary anguish over him. But he reminds you that he has prepared a place for both of you forever. Take it one day at a time, and he will lead you to that place. You lay your child back down, and he tells you he must go. He hugs you and promises you that you are not alone. And you look down one last time at your beautiful, precious baby and begin to tiptoe out of their room. And now you can slowly open your eyes. And now we will take a moment to just call to mind all of the things that we want our child to experience this year here in the confirmation program. And just like a mommy or daddy bird in a nest, we have hopes and dreams for our children too before they are ready to be making their own nests, right, in the world. So what hopes and dreams do you have? What do you imagine for your own child? And so I want you to take a minute to just think about what you dream for your child in this next 2 years, in this time where they're going to be tucked into confirmation. And take a moment to write the intention that you have for them on the little piece of paper inside of the egg that you're holding. So at home, if you have a little piece of paper, you can also write your intention, and you can pick up an egg in our office when you pick up your folders as well. But if you just take a minute to write down, what are your hopes and dreams for your teen this next year or two? And to write that down and then tuck it right back inside of your egg when you're done. So we'll give you a minute to do that. So we just invite you to take this egg home and just to use it as a reminder to pray for your teen throughout this journey and to pray for all of us as a community while we journey together this next year. And may God bless all of us and keep us safe and growing only closer to Him through one another and through His graces. And so as the bells toll, it's 7 o'clock. We want to be able to let you get back to your families, but Robbie is going to give you a few quick announcements, and then you're welcome to check in with us and ask any other questions.
I swear Deb and Danny give me the announcements so I know what's going on in our office. So first class is Sunday. Drop off here in the grass. Make sure you look over your health screening. We'll be taking temps when we get here. Make sure you have a mask for your kiddo to be wearing. Those watching at home should be collecting their teens' folders on Thursday, September 17th, which is this Thursday from 9:30 to 4:30 in the Faith Formation office, which is right across the parking lot. Retreat fees and retreat requests for dates are highly suggested and recommended that you drop those off today before you leave the meeting. If you know when you're going to go to retreat, just do it and make sure you get that spot. Con 2, make sure you guys are wearing your shirts on Sunday. Con 1 will be getting shirts on Sunday, so send them in a regular clothes, church appropriate, and we'll make sure they get a t-shirt for the year. Anything else? Did I miss anything? Ladies? Good? You got a question? It is the same t-shirt as last year. Yeah. If a kiddo outgrew it for some reason or something happened, feel free to let us know and we'll do our best to accommodate for that. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to come find Debbie, Danielle, or myself and ask those, and we will look forward to seeing you guys in the future. Thank you. Oh, if anybody's looking for a quick workout, you can help me stack chairs if you want.